So, welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast. For those that don't know you, would you like to tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Olivia Borg and I'm 20, currently living on the Gold Coast. I'm an elite swimmer training at Griffith University under Olympian Janelle Pallister. And my main event is the 100 fly, but I also compete in the 50 butterfly, 50 freestyle, and 100 freestyle. So I'm a bit of a sprinter. I'm currently in my third year at Griffith University studying a bachelor's degree in communications and journalism. And in April 2020, I was offered a full scholarship at the University of Nevada to swim there in the US. But unfortunately, because of COVID, I had to decline that offer. But I've always been around elite sports athletes. So I have many family members and family friends who have represented their respective sports in and represented their countries. So I've seen firsthand the rewards of being an athlete, and I've lived my own experiences of low times and the sad times, and definitely the hard times throughout sport, pretty much. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What made you fall in love with swimming? Like, did you do any other sport growing up? Has it always been swimming? Like, what made you stick with swimming?
Well, I'm a pretty uncoordinated person. So that was pretty much the only thing that I was good at. But no, I remember like I was put into swimming lessons when I was younger by my parents just for like, the general safety reasons and just so I know how to swim. But I remember we had a pool in our backyard, and my dad used to always throw my brothers and myself in the pool, and we'd swim to the side. And I've always loved water because, like, in general, because like it was always fun and intriguing to me. And as I did lessons and everything, I got better and started moving up levels, and that's when I started to enjoy it and realized that there was actually something there and I had potential. So yeah, I enjoyed it
No,
that.
that's awesome. I think I'm pretty similar. Like, I did lessons, like my parents, safety reasons wanted me to swim. When did you think that you started to take it more seriously? Like, when did you say, okay, I want to take this further? This is not just a hobby anymore. I really want to pursue this.
Yeah, so I started swimming when I was 5 and then started racing when I was 8. So, the little like club nights you have and
Yeah.
all the swimmers get together and they race. I really enjoyed like the whole like getting into like competitive mindset when I was younger. So I guess from like when I started racing, so 8, I realized that one day I want to go to the Olympics. So ever since then, like I've been training for that, and yeah.
That's awesome. So obviously, like you've been competing for a while. Do you think that nerves and hard sets, how do you tackle that?
Yeah, so I'm very lucky that I've got a supportive coach. She pushes us like mentally and physically, which is great. So when she does see that, like, we're struggling in a set, she reminds us that like our mind is tired and we've still got physically, we've still got stuff left in us. So that really helps, but my coach isn't going to be there all the time. So mentally, I always, in a hard set, I always compare it to a race. So my main event being the 100 butterfly, I compare. So once I start getting tired in a set, I compare it as saying this is the last 25 of my 100 fly, or in each finish, I finish with a hard finish, and this is how I'm going to win a close finish. So just little things like that keep me going and keep me. It just takes my mind off how hard the set actually is. And then once I get into a race, I felt the pain before, so I know how to push past that level. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think having a supportive coach and just like a general support network around you is so important.
Yes.
Um, and butterfly sucks. Like, no offense to you, but I hate butterflies. And we all know that last 25 is brutal, no matter what stroke it is.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you ever feel like, obviously you said like there's some nerves there, but you think back to all the training you've done, you know you've done the hard work. Do you ever think that it becomes more than that? Is there ever times where that thought process doesn't work?
Yeah, for sure. Like I've gone through stages where I go into a race knowing that I've done all the training, knowing that I'm ready for this race. But then once I go out and like start walking out to the blocks, I go completely blank and my anxiety gets really bad. And I just, I forget what I'm doing pretty much. So, overcoming that has been something that I'm still learning. So just like learning how to slow down my breathing before a race, or um, talking to some of the girls in marshalling, like just trying to get my mind off things um, before going out behind the blocks, just makes me like relax more and yeah, just
Yeah.
focus on what I'm doing rather than overthinking the process. So yeah.
Yeah, overthinking can be really bad. It can
Yeah.
really sabotage yourself before the race has even started.
Yeah.
It's good that you have all those skills and tricks in place. How did you come up with those and how did you implement them? Like, did you come up with those yourself? Was it something your coach suggested?
Yeah, so originally like I just do something where I just like breathe in and out a couple of times and it, it talk to the girls and that helped me relax. But recently I have been getting therapy. And she also suggested um so yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What made you, if you don't mind me asking, start going to therapy? Was that a swimming thing? Was that something external?
Yeah, I guess I was going through a stage where I was struggling mentally, both in and out of the pool. Um, I just feel like I'm someone who, when something gets really tough, or um, I like to bottle things up. So I feel like I got to a stage in life where I had so much bottled up that it just literally, I don't know, I just went downhill real fast. So I did start speaking to my mum, and like my parents have been so supportive, like all the time. So it's just myself, like I just don't know how to open up. So once I did start talking to my mum properly, she did recommend like getting a therapist and talking to someone outside the family, just in topics that I wouldn't talk about with my parents, but I'm very open with them now. But yeah, she just like, I think it was just best for me to, you know, outside of home. And it really has helps, especially with swimming, like it all kind of just ties together. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's so good that you're able to talk to your mum about it and that she was able to provide that support for you and say, I think it would be worthwhile. And I think it's so important too. Like, it's nothing, I think sometimes people forget that it's not necessarily that you don't want to talk to your family or a friend. Sometimes it's just easier to talk to someone that's not biased, that's not in the situation, and you can just talk freely about whoever you want. They don't have a preconceived idea of the people or things that you're talking about.
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah. It does help, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What has been one of the biggest challenges you've had to face? Have you had any setbacks, any injuries?
Yeah, so as I said before, like I did go through a really rough patch where I wasn't opening up, but was was with my training, so I was getting sick quite often. So I was in and out of the pool for months, maybe even leading up to a year. So physically and mentally, I just went downhill because Like, obviously I'm not training, so, you know, that
Yeah.
just is hard altogether. Just being knowing that I've got goals to achieve, but I can't because I'm obviously in and out of the water. That was definitely tough on me. But yeah, again, just opening up to my mum and dad was something that helped me step out of that little stage that I was going through, and them providing the help that I needed definitely helped as well.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy. Like, I commend you for doing that. It's so tough. Especially being so competitive, knowing that being out of the pool, all your competitors, friends, squad members, you can see what they're doing and knowing that you're not there with them. It's like so frustrating because you can see
Yeah,
it and you just like,
yeah,
oh my God, I should be there with them.
yeah.
Um, so it's so hard to take a step back, but obviously, you needed it and you've done the right thing by you mentally and physically taking that step back. So,
Yeah,
hats off to you for doing that.
thank you.
Um, so like you mentioned before, leading into a race, you have different things, talking to people, reminding yourself of all the hard work you're doing. Is there any other things that you do when you're having a really tough day, if it's at training or, even outside of the pool?
Outside of the pool, I do. When I'm by myself, I obviously there's no one to talk to, but I do really like having alone time, and I like to listen to music on my speaker and blast it in the house, but then also clean. Like, just that, just like, I don't know, it just relaxes me. Like, I'm in my own little world. I'm cleaning the house. I've got music playing. So that, yeah, that ju I just go around thing else that I enjoy to do.
Yeah. I know I find sometimes too, like when my head's a mess, cleaning, like if everything around me is clean, like my head feels cleaner. It sounds so strange, but I find that helps.
No, yeah.
So I kind of said before, I mean, even for me personally, falling into that sort of comparison trap, you said when you took a step back, I kind of said, you can see other people going ahead and it can be super frustrating and trying to achieve your goals, that where you should be and they're just not quite there. What kind of impact do you think social media has? Do you ever fall into the comparison trap with social media, or just what kind of role do you think social media has?
Um, I personally, I think it can have both a positive and negative effect. For me, the is, I wanted to post so many things and share my achievements and share to I fell into a trap where I wouldn't post certain things because I was too worried about what others were thinking. So, like, oh, what if so and so doesn't like it? What if they start talking about this behind my back, and just little things like that. So I would have to hold back on posting that. But it did take a long time for me to, like, who cares? Like, happy I'll post. Like, I'm just happy to post whatever I want without having to worry what others think, because, like, realistically, no one really cares, and if they don't like it, then they can unfollow. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've always had a very supportive following, so I've had no issues. It's just my inner thoughts. But yeah, like, I think it has both a positive and negative effect.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree. Like, it's always in our own head that, we're so worried about what other people think about what we're going to post and what to share. But when I ever look at someone else's post, I never think about that. Like,
No, yeah,
it's only when I'm posting myself, I'm like, oh, should I say that? Should I say this? Like, what should I do? But then when I see other
yeah,
people's posts, I don't even think twice about it.
yeah, yeah, no, that's exactly like me.
So what do you think some of your biggest achievements are so far?
So I think that in swimming, in 2018, I had the opportunity of competing at the 2018 Com Games trials. For me, that was one of my first big events. So I was like able to race against some of the girls that inspire me. And, like watching them growing up and seeing how they swim and everything and how they present themselves, I've always looked up to that. And then being able to, go in a race and they're literally next to me. It was just an amazing experience for me and something that definitely helped me, strive towards my dreams and, like it was kind of a confirmation for me that, oh yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to get to their level. So that was definitely one of my biggest achievements.
Yeah, for sure. So off that then, giving you, I guess, that bit of extra motivation and that drive, um, do you think that has played a part in, like, do you think you've worked harder and do you think you have bigger goals and more aspiration now because of that?
Yeah, for sure. Like in training now, I'm able to push past my limits, whereas before I'd push myself, but didn't know how to push past, you know, um, where hurt too much is more motivating. And seeing the way they train like they're like train so hard, and being able to train alongside that is definitely something that pushes me to be better myself.
Yeah. What kind of impact do you think sport has had? Like, obviously, it's been a massive part of your life, especially swimming for quite a number of years now. Do you think that sport has had an impact? Like, what kind of impact do you think it's had, and do you think that impact has changed over time?
Yeah, so I think definitely, like, because I've been swimming for so long, I from a young age I have had to make so many sacrifices and um like missing out on, hanging with friends and sleepovers and just things like, so I feel like that has shaped um me into the person I am into today. Like, just I'm much more committed and I know what I want, and like, yeah, I guess it shaped me into the person I am today. So I'm just glad. Like before I would think, oh, all these sacrifices, like it's the end of the world. But now looking back, it's like, no, those were the right choices. Like like this is where I want to be. So I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad I am who I am today.
Yeah, and it's so hard. Like, I think unless you're really in swimming, you don't really understand the demand, especially at such a young age. I don't think there's many sports that require the same amount of training that swimming does from that age. And you do have to make those sacrifices. People say, "Oh, can you come to my house after school? Like, let's hang out." You're like, "Sorry, I can't. Like, I've got training," and you have to make that call. And it's so hard. You can see your friends like, "Oh, okay." Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, sorry."
Yeah.
So what are your upcoming goals? You've spoken about, I know, the Olympics aren't too far away. What are your upcoming goals, short term, long term?
So at the moment, I'm actually training towards the Olympic trials in June. So we've been intensely training hard for that. So my goal for that is just, the experience as well, just to do the best I can, get PBs. Um, and long term, I'm aiming for the Games next year. So I've got a few meets coming up that I can, work towards for that. But yeah, they're the two main things at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's amazing. And I know you mentioned earlier about COVID impacting your opportunity to go swim in America. Has COVID impacted, I know it's different everywhere, particularly, Queensland compared to Victoria. What kind of impact did COVID have on your training?
Well, we're actually very fortunate, Queensland. I feel like COVID hasn't really been around for ages because our restrictions have been like so like easy. But no, like there was a period like last year where we were in lockdown for a little bit. But that was only like a couple of weeks. So we've actually had a good training run, which we're very lucky. So I guess in a way it hasn't really impacted our training because we have been able to train, our normal 10 to 12 sessions a week. So yeah, we're very fortunate here in Queensland, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think like that you'll ever go to America to train, or do you think you're quite content here now?
Well, because of COVID, everything's so up in the air. I have been offered a if I in the COVID settles down. So I'm open to anything once everything settles down and um, I can fully sit down and look at my options and everything, but focusing on what I've got ahead of me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I always like to finish with 3 questions. So the first one is, what is something that you're most proud of about
Yep.
yourself? And it doesn't have to be swimming, it can be anything.
I think I'm most proud of being able to speak up and express how I'm feeling. That is something that I have struggled with for a little bit of time, like just bottling everything up, as I said before. But I'm very much a people pleaser and like to put a smile on people's faces and make sure that I'm there for them. But um, not realizing that actually myself, and I'm just glad that I was able to speak up and express how I was feeling so I can get the help that I needed.
Yeah, that's so good. And it's so important because it can be so hard to do that. I know I've been one to bottle up my emotions too, and it's so hard once you start. I mean, sometimes it can be hard to stop, but you do sort of get to that point where it's just like an eruption. You just get to a point and it just boils over.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your favorite quote or the best piece of advice you've been given?
Well, I actually heard this like probably my coach told our squad like 2, 3 days ago, and it like has stuck with me because I think on another level. An entire sea of water can't sink a ship unless the ship is you, and the negativity in the world can't put you down unless you allow it to get inside you. So yeah, that has stuck with me.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I've heard that a couple times now, and it it's such a good way of putting things. It really is.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any tips for those that are listening?
I just think from my personal experiences, don't be scared to speak up and ask for help. Like it helps a lot. Like, your happiness is much more important than anything. Whatever makes you happy, just do it. So, you're missing out if it doesn't make you happy, then you're missing out. So just make sure you're always happy and do what you want to do, but legally.
That's such good advice. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and best of luck with training coming into
Thank you
trials
so
in a
much.
couple of weeks.
Thank you so much for having me.
No worries.